All right, guys, welcome back to Boots Come in Pairs. We have another guest this week, another Lake County guy, Sean Harling, but he is not in Lake County anymore. He is baseball operations for the Oregon Ducks, which is an area we have not spread to yet. We've done some major league, minor league, and now we're getting to the college level. So great to have you on, Sean.
Thanks, Brandon. First and foremost, just thanks both of you, Brandon and Ryan. Great opportunity, and so I'm just happy to chop it up with you boys.
Oh, absolutely. And first of all, big shout out to our mutual friend, Ryan Vino. Ryan is somebody that Brandon and I grew up with, and also Sean grew up with. Guy who we've gotten to know really well over the years, their family, just great person. He kind of, after he got off his time with us on our show, I believe it was show 15, he had such a good time and good experience. He said, "Hey, I got this guy, and I grew up with him, and he's in a sphere that you guys haven't talked about much yet." And he kind of connected Sean and I and got the interview going. And he's been so very gracious with his time tonight. Just getting out of practice, which is again, it's just part of the grind. But before we get into your career, my friend, I think the first thing we want to talk about, and it's kind of how we've been starting these baseball conversations out, is like as a kid. Obviously, you're sticking with baseball today. How did you first fall in love with the game? What kind of drew you to the game initially?
Good question. I think my first year playing was, I think it was eight. 8, 9 level. I had this coach who was very passionate and really loved the development aspect. But I just really grew to respect him, and he gave me every opportunity really to succeed. In all aspects, but ultimately kind of grew my love for the game. And I can remember those days still as a 31-year-old back when I was eight. Just always had a passion for baseball. I come from an athletic family, a dance family, gymnastics, bunch of things. So I knew I wanted to get in something early, and I just kind of fell into baseball. But I knew from a super young age that this is what I want to do, for my life. So happy to be, the journey that I had, and all the things that have led up to where I am now. It's been great. So very fortunate, very happy, and to get to do it at my alma mater is even sweeter.
Oh, for sure. And I mean, so you get moving on. I mean, you're a Grays Lake guy, correct? Like that's where you grew up. But
Yep.
So you're playing Grays Lake youth baseball. You end up at Carmel Catholic High School, which Brandon and I are both very familiar with, growing up in Lake County as well. That's a great baseball school. You're in a really great conference. At the time, it was the ESCC. I'm not sure if they're still in that conference.
Yep.
But yeah, you played baseball there. We're actually looking at a roster from College of Lake County, which
Yep. Yep.
incidentally, your freshman year was the year after Brandon's freshman year. So I brought up this roster, and I was seeing a lot of familiar faces myself. Kevin Smiley being one of them, was a guy that I grew up playing some travel baseball with. But guys even playing in the conference, Brandon recognized a couple guys from when he played at CLC as well. So you finish high school at
We'll say played at CLC lightly. That's where I decided
Yeah.
that it was not worth pursuing my baseball career anymore because of
Yeah.
how much work it is to play at the college level and how little playing time I got. So
Yeah.
playing
I'll-
is, yeah.
hate to interject here, but that's where I stopped playing baseball. So if you have
Yeah.
any idea how that went for me as well. So
Yes.
Maybe it was the coaching there. Who knows? I don't.
Heath was great, man. Again, he gave me all the opportunities in the world, and
Yeah.
I've gone back to CLC, and I've seen him. I've got good respect for him, and really
Yeah.
too, the assistants. Joe Farrow, he was
Joe's a great guy.
yeah. I mean, I was very close with him. I ended up finding out that we took from the same hitting instructor, Steve Hayward, out of Strikes Baseball, and so we got along real well, and we still talk to this day. He's got interest in me and my career and all that. So it's been I wouldn't have been here if I didn't go to CLC. So
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I will say I've never been in better shape in my life than going through our spring routine. I don't know if he did the same thing with you guys, but I was I wasn't playing, but I was in shape.
Mm-hmm.
It was brutal. I remember my foot was bleeding one time after just the indoor conditioning practices. So yeah, definitely prepared you for whatever was next.
Yeah, and same experiences, man. I mean, obviously we were just a year apart, but again, coming here, you really start to understand, especially going through the recruiting process of what junior college ranks, can do for a kid's development. And so, whether it was for baseball for me or not on the field, it certainly made me, a better guy for it. So, happy to come through the JUCO ranks. For sure.
Yeah, and I mean, you look at different places, and I was even looking at JUCO rankings the other day, and just players going through the years, and like the amount of like Heartland College guys who are All Americans, and McHenry County College guys who are All Americans. Like they're up. Heartland is one of the top JUCOs in the nation, and they produce a lot of talent. So there's nothing. CLC is not the college of last chance. Like it is the college of second chances, third chances. It definitely elevates you. Really glad that you had that experience. And I mean, again, we all have that day where we decide that we're going to hang the cleats up, so to speak, but that doesn't mean your journey needs to be over. And for you, it definitely wasn't. So you go to CLC, you're on the baseball team, and you move on to the wonderful University of Oregon in Eugene. What influenced your decision to go there? Do you have family connections out there? It's amazing school from what I've heard. Maybe that's what attracted you, but go into that a little bit.
Yeah. Again, I kind of remember it like it was just yesterday. It's crazy to think that was, gosh, 8-10 years ago. But
we're old, man.
I know it. But when I was done at CLC, I knew again that I wanted to be in sports. I wanted to be in baseball. But ultimately, I wanted to get a good degree, and so I was looking kind of all over the country, and of course, love Chicago, and leaving there is tough. But I really wanted to get a really good experience and kind of spread my wings, and so I applied pretty much everywhere but Chicago. Like I didn't apply to one Chicago school, and so Oregon just kind of got back to me first and said you're accepted, and from the outsider looking in, into their sports business programs, just their business program in general, you were talking about a school who was on the up and up, tons of resources and things that you can kind of get into as a student. So I kind of just came out here on a whim, never even visited the school. As you alluded to, I have no family out here, but it just everything that I read and just wanted to come. So I remember my parents actually dropping me off and, hey, Sean, what do you want to do? And, what do you want to study? And I said, hey, Mom, Dad, I'm going to be fine. Like I'm going to find my way on the baseball program, work in any sort of capacity. I just want to start working. I want to dive into, sports business. I want to join the Warsaw Sports Business Club. I just want to get involved any way I can. And so, I don't know their thought process of, hey, this is one of their first kids who's moving out of the nest, or at least out of the state. And all he's talking about is baseball. But, they've known too, and they've embraced and have supported me. They knew that at a young age I was destined for this. And so I was just lucky enough. I got involved with the baseball program right in my first year. Kind of a crazy story. I don't know how much time we got tonight.
Sean, whatever you want to talk about, man. This is why we're here, man. So you go into that. So yeah, student manager for the baseball team. How did that all come about?
Kind of just a right place at the right time. It originally started. I had a college roommate or dorm mate. He was right across the hall. His sister played soccer here at Oregon. And, and just hanging out and getting to know them two. She was like, gosh, we have student managers. We love them. And I said, hey, I would love to do that. But, of course, I want to do it for baseball. I want to do it for football. I just want to get involved. I don't know anything about soccer. But, I just want to get involved. And so if it meant soccer, then so be it. But Well, she said, well, hey, our student or our equipment manager, Brad Serrata, he actually works for the baseball team. He's their equipment manager. And I said, I would love to meet him, and if you got a phone number, if you got an email, anything just to get in the door. And so, she shared his email, and I emailed him and emailed him and emailed him. We joke about it now. I was probably just a pain in his butt, but ultimately, I think that's what kind of, made him realize, like, hey, this kid actually is passionate about it, wants to do it. I was a fan first. I went to all the games, and I went to a game with her, and it ended up just being like, oh shit, there's Brad. And I said, I got to meet the guy.
Yeah.
How do I get in front of him? I've been emailing this guy for months. And so literally, I just stayed after the game, and I'm yelling Brad from the dugout, and he's like me, like you don't want like any of the players, autographs, coaches, like me. And I'm like, hey Brad, I'm the guy that's been bugging you and emailing you. Would love just a sit down conversation, and God, I come from the junior college ranks. I played baseball my whole life. I just want to get involved. And he kind of, again, we joke about it all the time, but he kind of shrugged me off and just said, yeah, we're full this year, but, I'll keep in touch and, whatever. So again, it's just the follow up. And just by happenstance, he gave me a call one day in the spring, a couple weeks later, and said, hey, we're actually short staffed today. I'd love to bring you in for an interview, and no promises, like, again, not to say that we'll hire you, but if anything, we would hire you for next year. Like, this is not a this year thing.
Yeah.
But he had just said, hey, we're short staffed. We'd love to have you in for a day, kind of shadow and train and see what it's like, see if it's even something you want to do. And that was the first day that I was, I guess, employed by the University of Oregon baseball. So by the end of the day, I remember we played a midweek game against San Diego. Beat them handedly. Awesome day. At the end of the game, we would do debriefs. How the team did, and the coaches would say, their spiels. And I just remember I was sitting in the back corner, nobody could see me, and Coach Horton, I owe my whole success to. He just said, hey, I got a question for you guys, and was anything out of place today? No. Was everything out there for you that you needed to in terms of prep and game and meals and all that? Yeah, it was all out there, Coach. Yeah. Well, hey, I just want to introduce our newest student manager who will be there for the rest of the year, Sean Harling. Sean, come up here and stand up.
Whoa.
And so I had no clue. I was even told from the get-go, this is not a this year thing. And sure enough, the day that I just show up to kind of shadow, I get hired. And so,
wow.
Again, just super fortunate, right place, right time. I owe Coach Horton my whole entire career, so much respect for him and what he did at Oregon. And actually, I got to see him this last Friday.
Oh, cool.
At a great event that we put on every year. So again, he's just an unbelievable mentor for me. Got me my start, and I guess the rest is history. So I was a student manager for 4 years, and then found my way back to the program under Coach Wazakowski here in 2020. So
going back to Coach Horton a little bit, and it's great. We always like to hear about the people who inspire the guests that we bring on, and the cool thing I'm glad that Coach Horton had that impact on you. I mean, just talk about an individual who, Oregon didn't have a baseball team for 20 plus years. It was 1981, early 1980s is when they decided to disband for funding reasons. They got rid of a few sports. 07 is when there was the proposition to bring the program back in 09, and Coach Horton took it from there and just ran with it. Had a lot of success. Lots of really good players come out. Pac-12 is a really tough baseball conference. So, that guy is probably, very, very awesome that you're speaking so highly of him. And I know that he's definitely got a special place in the heart of the Oregon baseball program, just the history. for being able to bring that program back and kind of bring it back to relevance, and to see where you guys are today, even with Coach Dub. I mean, he's a great coach as well. But I mean, cool to hear that Coach Horton had that impact on you. I mean, just very, very awesome.
Yeah, no doubt. And again, just to bring it back to current day, Coach Waz, he was an assistant back in the day under Coach Horton, and so that's kind of how I got to know Coach Waz.
Yeah.
And just being a student manager before he had left to Purdue to start his head coaching career. Again, just owe everything that I have to those two guys. And so just, again, very fortunate.
Yeah. How is because we've talked to a couple of people now, and it's like, whether it's at the end of high school, the end of Little League, at some point you have to deal with the transition to, I'm not going to be a professional baseball player. We all get to realize that. But it seems like your transition was pretty quick. You knew right away, you're like, I'm not going to be playing, but I want to go straight into the game. Was it that quick? Did you have a little bit of, maybe I should still be playing? Because for me, if I wasn't playing, I wanted nothing to do with the game. I wanted to be like, I don't even want to watch people. I just want to be as far separated. But that was just my nature, and probably blinded me from some experiences. But it seemed like you were able to transition quicker.
Yeah, I was probably like every kid. I even in high school, I'm like, I'm going to the major leagues. That's my only what I'm doing. But you find out real quickly again. Going to CLC, it may just be CLC, but there's a lot of talented players out there, and and so I knew kind of from there that my chances of moving to the next level, whether it was D3, D2, D1, were slim, and so I just kind of embraced it and just said, hey, what's next? That's kind of my whole mantra, even in my career. It's like, hey, what's next? How can I improve? What's out there for me? And so it was pretty quick. And I'll tell you, the first day that I officially was a student manager in that practice, saw those guys compete just through a practice.
Oh,
I knew I made the right decision.
For sure.
Yeah, and that was for me too. Is like, you do feel it, because even at the junior college level, I'm not a third baseman, but that's where there was an opening, so I got a couple starts there. I got sat down on a ground ball that was coming from my face, and I was like, might be a little too fast for me. So yeah, you need some humble pie, and that was probably a good piece of it there.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm kind of with you, Sean. Like, when I was done playing, I probably could have played in junior college, but I decided that I wanted to go away to school right away. I went to Oklahoma for my first year and a half, and then I transitioned back to CLC for a semester while I was figuring out my next move. And I was planning on playing it would have been my sophomore year on the team, but there were just some classes that I needed to take, and it was not going to align with the baseball schedule. So I ultimately decided not to do it. But I picked up my coaching career like very shortly after that. I coached at the high school level, freshman, JV, varsity. I did scouting. I did that for 7 years, and I loved it. And sometimes you just have that calling. You want to be around the game, all that stuff that you're talking about, like the breakdowns after the game, like going over what we did right, what we did wrong. Like, there's nothing like it. It's a blast. You feel like you're back in the car with your dad recapping your little league game, but on a higher level. So totally get that. And I mean, when you can find out what you want to do, and you can jump right into it, and you're focused, and you're adamant, and you want to do it, like, you can do anything you want to do. So that's super cool to hear that you're that passionate, and that's what you knew what you wanted to do, and you went after it and you got it. So you get done with your college career. It's 2017, 2018. You head home. What was that like? What was going through your head? You were home for a couple years. I mean, honestly, we all grew up in the Chicagoland area, and we all love it. But obviously, there's other things that some things, namely jobs, that lead us there, but our passions lead us elsewhere. So you went back home. How was that whole process, and was it just eating at you the whole time?
Yeah, at least coming out of college, I had nothing really lined up. But I kind of knew, again, that I've always wanted to work in sports. I was fortunate at a young age. I got a job when I was actually in 7th grade. and so I've been a caddy, golf caddy
Oh, wow.
for a long time. And so
Yeah.
I kind of treated that senior season or the senior year summer as, hey, I'm going to caddy again. I'm going to, do this for the year. I'm going to figure out what's next. I've always been good with people and kind of networking and just, again, what's next, And so, again, I just embraced it, went straight into caddying mode and did it for a full summer. And then, actually, I got one of the guys who I'd caddied for years. I mean, 10 plus years. Was like, Sean, so have you graduated yet, or what's your deal? Like, what are you doing? And I said, yeah, I just graduated like a couple months ago, and I'm just out here caddying for it.
I'm here for the tips, man. So
here for the tips. And he said, absolutely not. You are done caddying. You're going to come out and work for me as a financial advisor. And so that's actually where I got my start, as in the financial sector. And so did that for 2.5 years. And I mean, I learned a ton. I was, up and at 'em at 5 a.m. and driving down to the city and putting 30,000 miles on the car and learning sales. And, man, but just from a business aspect, that's why I learned everything. I mean, how to deal with money, how to deal with people, and building trust and relationships with other people. That's so important. And so every step along the way, I've used as just a learning deal for me. Hey, this is valuable. No matter if I want to work in baseball or not, dealing with people is important. Finances is important. And so I just embraced it, did it for a couple of years, and then that just by happenstance, Coach Waz gets hired in fall of 2020 or 2019, and that's kind of where it is. So he gave me a call, and I was just on the golf course, and he said, we've got an opening. I'd love for you to be my ops guy, and
oh, wow.
I left right there.
And though they're getting back to just relationships, Sean, and just building trust with people. And like Coach Waz leaves and has a incredible coaching career at Purdue. Like he kind of brought them back up. So it's like him getting a chance to come back to Oregon where he did really well as an assistant. And then he thinks enough of you. You have enough of an impact on him during your time with the program that he gives you a call, and you're like one of the first people on his call list, and for a very important position. Like that's very important. What you do for that program is so important.
It's meant the world, and funny enough, we were talking about it today in a meeting, and just the importance of having a staff. And a culture, right? We talk about Daryl Hunter, who's our strength coach. He played at Oregon. Brett Thomas, who's our director of player development, played at Oregon. Jack Martyr, who's our hitting coach, recruiting coordinator, played at Oregon. I mean, we're all Ducks. We have that pride, and so like you said, it was a great feeling to be on I'm sure, a very short list of people who we wanted to call, and just to even be considered is incredible. I just owe everything to him and get my career in the baseball world started. So,
So what does baseball operations look like at the university level? You said you just came off the practice field, so you're obviously involved in some of the day-to-day stuff. But what does that look like? You guys are obviously off season, but you're getting ready to ramp up. What does that look like from your job point of view?
Well, we kind of joke around here that I wear a lot of different hats, and I'm the get ahead of it coordinator. So, obviously the baseball side and traveling with the team and, just being day to day with them. But there's the whole other side of it, where's the business office and running a budget and scheduling seasons or games out for years, right? Dealing with contracts, dealing with marketing. You're just kind of in the thick of it. And you have a little bit of piece of everything in the program. So it's just something I've embraced. I love working with people. And ultimately we're in the same team here. So working for a university, it's awesome because everyone wants each of their teams to be successful, but we're all kind of in it together. And football team is great with us, and we try and pay it forward. We try and pay it forward with softball. Just kind of get involved and just have that culture of we all want to be the best in the nation.
Absolutely. And so one of our buddies who we have on is in not sales, but he's in marketing and graphic design. He's actually the lead graphic designer for the Timber Rattlers, the high affiliate of the Brewers. So Nick was telling us kind of the same thing, just like him being in the marketing department and being at the minor league level, just all the different hats that you need to wear. And it sounds very similar to like what you're dealing with, just having to get ahead of things and having to make sure that the players are good and the staff's good. And at times you can just fall into that thing where it's like, hey, like, am I good? Like, I gotta make sure that I'm at my best so I can take care of them to the best of my ability. So, I mean, I'm sure you have a heck of a support staff as well, just people who you can lean on and talk to and all that. That's incredible that you get to experience that. So like getting back to when you started. So you start in 2020, and obviously we know what happened in 2020. The college baseball season got barely into the first several dozen games, and then they called the season off. That's your first season. That's your first exposure and being in this position of this operations position. So what was going through your head and the program's head at that point? And I mean, you got to feel for the players too, especially your upperclassmen who are using this as a showcase to go to the next level. I guess go into that a little bit. Like what were the vibes around there? How was everybody feeling?
Certainly a weird point in our history. But kind of just the common theme and the common word I've been using all day. We just embraced it. Again, there was rules out there, and no matter where you fall on the spectrum, it's just those were the rules, right? And so, we just had to do our part, and so we held, Zoom meetings. Our hitting coordinator was doing Zoom calls, basically like private lessons, right, or just check-ins with our guys, and guys would be hitting in their garages or. We're having team meetings where, we're getting important stuff done, but none of us have seen each other for weeks, for it's a year, right? And so it was certainly a weird part in our history, but, in a weird way, the baseball stance that we had is, hey, this is what it is, right? We can complain about it. We can be sad and just, oh, woe is me, or we could just work. Just do control what you can control, right? So, kind of just embracing that as a team, it really actually kind of brought us together. And slowly but surely, right, you get to, hey, you can have outside practices. You got to social distance. You got to do all the things, right? And so we did anything that we could to be together and be on the field. And in that first year, I mean, Oregon hadn't seen a regional since 2015. We're just now coming off of a global pandemic where everybody's been together. I'm sure there was articles out there that said, hey, that Oregon's got no shot, but we ended up hosting a region. We're the top 16 teams in the country for hosting, and it didn't go our way, but it was just really cool to see the buy-in, everybody about the culture. Something that we preach, on a daily basis here.
Yeah, and now you've had quite a bit of success since then. Do you think that's correlated since that period where it's allowed you to build off that? Did you have a lot of younger players during that time, or what was kind of the building point from there? Because it seems to have strengthened your team.
Yeah, we had a good mix. We had a good mix that first year. Senior leadership. You're talking about Kenyon Yovan, Gabe Matthews, guys who have meant so much to the program that got that extra year. They had pro ball written all over them, right? And they could have easily just been a free agent or just call it quits. But, hey, they wanted to come back for their fifth year and really turn the program around from what it was when they first got there. And so credit to them. And then obviously up until last year, you had guys like Tanner Smith, Josh Kasevich, Sam Novitsky. I mean, these are guys that, all went to their junior or their senior years, whether they got the COVID extra year or not. They really bought into the culture, and it just basically was on full display last year when we made our first super regional since 2012. Up and down the lineup, you had Tanner Smith, 5th year. Drew Cowley was a transfer, but a 5th year. Colby Shea, leader in the clubhouse. Gavin Grant, my roommate, clubhouse leader. You had so many old guys that were part of that first year. And so, but along the way, they wanted to keep improving and elevating the standard here.
Yeah. So that success has been very important. You guys written at least since you've started, tournament appearances, 21, 22, 23, winning the Pac-12 conference in 23, an incredible experience. Speak to coach a little bit. Because whatever this guy seems to be doing, whatever he seems to be preaching, his mindset, who he chooses to surround himself with, he just knows how to build winners. What is it about this guy that makes him so special?
Apparently, it's his staff.
But he just seems to be able to just lift programs up and get the best out of them. Granted, they are big time college programs, but he's got something. What does he have, Sean? What does he have?
Coach Waz, again, I could speak about him all day, but he just has a standard, right? We talk about standard all the time. It's not only his or it's his way, the highway. He does a great job of, working with our players and letting them be themselves while also, living up to the standard, and not just his standard, it's the Oregon standard, right? Again, the program of what it was built off Coach Horton, just continuing that legacy and continuing the excellence that was laid out in front of him. Coach Waz is the most energetic guy I have ever been around. He's up first thing in the morning, and he is just a workhorse. He works really, really hard, and he's like you guys joked, he does surround himself with guys like that. And so, enough can't be said about our hitting coordinator, Jack Martyr. Guy's the hardest working coach in the country. I don't know everyone in the country, but I know he's the hardest working guy in the country. I'll even put myself there. I take a lot of pride in what I do, and just by being a student manager back in the day and making sure everything's in place and working really hard and trying to prove myself. I still feel like I'm trying to prove myself. And again, the whole rest of the staff, we're just so well aligned, and we just have that Oregon pride that we want this to be the best program in the country.
Yeah.
So we're not going to stop.
I think that's it, because you look at, and football's a different animal. You bring in these coaches for a high ticket price, and they're going to change your program. But baseball is different. Baseball is not the same stratosphere, and I think the fact that you have a bunch of, as you referred to, ducks in your team conglomerate there, that is breeding the success, because everyone's invested, everyone's committed to being there. No one's like, oh, I'm coming in for this, whatever, and I don't understand the culture here. No, they're buying the culture because they've already done the culture. They're already a part of it. So I think that's probably what you're hitting on more than anything, is that these are all guys that want to be there because they've already been there, and that's just kind of, it's our alma mater, and it's speaking to that too. So,
and something to be proud of too. Yeah. It's just, Oregon is an incredible sports universe. I really hope to visit one day and check out the campus. It's still on my bucket list of things to do. And it's just such a special place that you guys have there in Eugene. Getting back to your job a little bit, what are some fun and some stressful things about your day to day? What is the most fun to you, Sean? What do you enjoy doing? There's probably so much, but
I'll lead into the next point after he answers that. But I think it just got a little more difficult. But go ahead.
Yeah.
I love every aspect of my job, but really the most satisfying. I guess I'll start with actually answering your question. The most fun I have is actually going out to the field, as easy as that sounds. I take a lot of pride in the way that shag out in the outfield. And
Yes.
so any chance that I can get out and, kind of relive the glory days,
Yes.
I'm full effort out there. And again, it's the way we do things around here. But it doesn't matter if I'm in my work clothes, my khakis or game polo. I'm out there diving, pre-game BP. That's just
as you should be. Yeah.
That's standard. So that's by far and away the most fun, the most satisfying though. Now entering my fourth year, I've seen guys come to the program as freshmen who are now seniors or who have been drafted, right? And I just go, man, I remember you on your visit, on your official visit, and now you're getting drafted. I mean, that's just a really cool, thing for any coach, really, but even for me as an ops guy, because I'm there with them every step of the way, getting them into school and making sure that they're dealing with the parents, right? They're dropping their kids off and giving the full trust to our staff. Again, we just take a lot of pride in it, and it's really cool, really satisfying to see our guys develop, obviously as baseball guys, but also as young men.
Absolutely.
And that's so important because even from the college game, 2% of those guys are going pro ball. So you really do need to earn the trust of the families and trust that, hey, you're gonna take care of my kid more than just baseball. But yeah, if you can foster them and get to the pro level, that's great. I think that's everyone's goal when they start. But yeah, that was going to be a question I was going to ask, but you just answered it, because I think that is just as important as making those kids feel at home and make the parents feel like they're safe with their kids, with you guys.
No doubt.
And it really, like you said, it's about helping develop a good young man, and that was probably my most rewarding thing as a coach as well. Like seeing guys being 14 years old and like seeing some of them today, like graduating college, having their big boy job, like making a difference in the world. It's so cool to see it all come full circle. Like for me, I was doing mostly summer baseball to start until I graduated college, and then I was in the program full time. But seeing my freshmen just come in, remembering when they tried out, and then they're graduating as seniors, like winning a regional, going to a sectional game, like just doing cool stuff, winning a summer league, like a Legion district title, just cool stuff that you get to see and experience with these guys. But yeah, like at the end of the day, most of us are not going to make it to that next level. And it's like, hey, what kind of mark did I leave on this person? Like, that's the most important thing, because we're all part of this world, and more good people make it a better place.
Yeah. But the batting practice hero is important, because my freshman year, I remember one of the coaches was Dave Andre, going for a fly ball, ran straight into the wall, caught the ball, and just tackled the chain link fence. But you know what? We were all like, hey, if he's trying that hard, we got to go at least double as hard. So yeah, keep going out there, Sean, because that's important.
There's only one way to go about it.
Yep.
It's the right way.
What about some stressful stuff, Sean? Is there anything that stresses you out?
Not really. I mean,
No.
I can, again, just have self-pity or, be emotional about it, or just embrace it. Right.
Yeah.
I'll
and
make
COVID's a
some
perfect example, right? That could have been a really stressful thing, and we could have just, packed it in and just go, hey, universe is not letting us be good at baseball. But we kind of just said, you know what? Let's go. We've got a saying, go for it, right? Go for it. Just whatever it is that you do, go for it. Embrace it, and just make the best of what you can.
Yeah. When going off that, I mean, your job just got a little harder. You're joining the Big Ten, so the logistics of joining the Big Ten when you're on the Pacific West Coast is a little different. You have a little more responsibility, so we won't call it stressful. We'll call it embracing the challenge, right? How has that been for your program? Obviously, you're not yet, but you're probably planning out, like I said, 3-4 years, whatever it is, to get those schedules set. How has that been for your program?
It's been great. In our conversations with the Big Ten, again, they're bringing in 4 really good programs. I mean, you're talking about SC, UCLA, and UW. I mean, they're just unbelievable programs, really, that have kind of historic records and reputation in the Pac-12, and so to bring those universities on, we're excited. I mean, we're excited for the challenge, and to join a conference like the Big Ten is a great challenge for us. We haven't seen any sort of negative feedback or any sort of things in that nature, but it's been great, and the people over there, administrations in the Big Ten office have been really, really good. So we're excited. Again, we just kind of just say, hey, it is what it is. That's where we're going to play, and we're excited for the opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
I would think too, it sets up some of these guys to learn the professional baseball level, because you're traveling a lot more and you're going to different cities, and you may not be spending very much time in Oregon, but you're going to be basically traveling across the country to go play baseball. And that's what professional baseball is. It's 2 nights here, 3 nights here, just going Canada, wherever it is. So I think it actually will set up your guys to be a little more battle tested.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, and even now, still, like we're traveling all over the country, but we start our season in Texas, and so that's a time change, right? That's somewhere we've never played before. So we're embracing that. We actually start, Ryan, with your alma mater, Oklahoma, game 1.
Boomer. Hey, they've had when I was there, they had a really solid program. They're a good team. They don't have the same coach that they did. Sonny Galloway was the coach at the time, but they're a bunch of OU guys as well. So same kind of deal. Lots of pride in their program, and that'll be good too. I mean, I'm going to do one of these as well, but yeah. But like getting into that and just kind of piggybacking on what Brandon said, like definitely battle testing physically, mentally, and also just increasing that level of competition too. Like the Big Ten is no joke. You have lots of very awesome, high-profile baseball programs: the University of Michigan, Ohio State, U of I. Maryland's not a slouch. Like you have a lot of really good teams. So I think it's just going to change. I mean, not just in baseball, but in football as well, and basketball. Just like fostering this idea of just intense competition, great games for the players, great games for the fans. All these and it's baseball and basketball. You play so many games, but football, a lot of these teams have like these cupcake schedules, and with these conferences merging now, and there being all these teams and this pool of talent to kind of select your schedule. It's going to be a battle every week, which again, it's ultimately going to make the whole game better, the whole college game better.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of what we got right now. Every game in the Pac-12 is a battle. There is no bad team, in the Pac-12, and we expect that to be the same in the Big Ten. And so, just to kind of bring it to another side, right, with football, talk about embracing it. Everyone talks about Michigan, obviously, defending national champions. Nobody told us that, we had to be third, fourth, fifth in the Big Ten just because we're new, right?
No.
With their recruiting they just brought in, it's number 1 in the Big Ten, right? So we we embrace it. Hey, what's next? How can we do better? And let's go for it.
Absolutely.
Anything else, Ryan, on Oregon before we get into our fan favorite segment?
So this is just I'm a sneakerhead. I love shoes. I love apparel. Oregon sets the standard. Obviously, your Nike Town, USA over there. I mean, I don't know how much you get to experience that, but like I would say extraordinary partnership that you guys have with Nike, just the collaboration and them just trying out their research and development and trying these cool combinations. Like how cool is it being on the staff and being part of a program when you have the backing and just the willingness to collaborate of a Nike? Like how is that partnership with the Ducks, and I guess how is it, and like how cool is it, just from a sneakerhead, like apparel head kind of point of view?
It's unbelievable. First and foremost, it's unbelievable. Obviously, when you think about Nike, when you think about Oregon, You think about innovation, right? And so, as you alluded to, right, the development of new technology. We have such a unique relationship with Nike. Well, they'll come out and they'll test their product years in advance on our student athletes, and so
That's
that's a
so
really
cool.
That's a really really cool benefit that our guys get to experience. And then just on the swag side, right? It's just awesome. But you get, like you mentioned, you're a sneakerhead. I mean, the shoes that we are able to get are awesome.
Oh, heat.
It's great. And so, I just off the top of my head, probably the Jordan sevens, the retro sevens are probably one of my. Again, you just being here and having the relationship with Nike is first class, and they treat us so well, and it's always nice to throw on a pair of Jordans every once in a while.
Oh, 100%. And
Yeah.
I would probably die and go to heaven if I had access to that. But yeah, like the Oregon 3s, Oregon 4, they're just it's cool to get to test all that stuff out on the athletes. I'm sure they appreciate the swag and getting to dress cool and have the cool stuff. But like, I even just go back, please don't hate us. We are USC football fans, but have always had the utmost respect for Oregon. And I just remember, like, when all that started, just the cool uniforms. Like, what are the Ducks going to come out with this week for football? I mean, the wings and just the different color combinations and like the color bleed stuff. I mean, the helmets, and I remember like DeAnthony Thomas and the mock 10 offense with Coach Kelly. Like, just ridiculously fast, ridiculous athletes, and they had the unis and the swag to back it up. Just a super cool program. Swag is what I would definitely use to describe that program for sure.
And what's pretty ironic, I'll leave you with this. One of the coolest things that we do, and maybe this is a testament to Coach Waz, is when he got the job here. We had a team meeting. Hey, what went wrong? What needs to improve? How can we be a resource to you guys? What do you guys want to change? Kind of the mindset, or what was out in the public, was that Oregon, that's all they cared about was uniforms and how sweet they could be. And that was kind of our reputation. And it is, right? It is what it is, being Nike U. But one of the coolest things that we get every year, and it's not even a joke. It's really, our players love it. Get a blank white T-shirt to start the fall. There's no number, there's no nothing on it, no wings. It's just, you got a white T-shirt with a Nike swoosh, and again, it just kind of humbles you, and just says, hey, this is we're here to work, and our number one thing is we want to win, right? So it's cool though. It kind of plays into what we stand for, the standard. And then also kind of once you earn your stripes or earn your number, that's kind of when the rest of the equipment shows up in your locker. So
that's, uniforms don't win championships, the world of work does. So that's really cool that he has implemented that. And honestly, like, you got to remember why you're there. You're not there to wear the stuff. You're there to represent the Ducks. You're there to put on that compete in the Pac-12 or the Big Ten or wherever you are, but more than anything, like, you're Ducks, and you're together, and you're there to win, and that's the big thing.
So Ryan, I got a question for you real quick. You said sneakerhead. What's your all-time favorite sneaker?
Ooh, well, so my all-time favorite sneaker is something that is very, very difficult for me to get right now, especially at retail price. I am a big, like, Kobe 5 fan. So, like, the Kobe 5 or the Kobe 4, are pretty much 4 through 7 silhouettes I love. My favorite Jordan of all time, I really like the 13s and the 11s and the 3s. I have pairs of those, and I have some 12s as well and some 1s. But my favorite sneaker of all time is a Kobe 5, a black and white Kobe 5. I had them when I was playing basketball. I didn't play on the team, but we played just pickup basketball with friends all the time, and That was my favorite sneaker I ever had.
We went to Libertyville Sports Complex. That was our jam.
That was our gym. But yes, the Kobe 5 is up there, and maybe the Olympic 6 was another cool one. Just a cool shoe.
Don't
Kobe
ask,
shoes.
Don't ask how many pairs of free runs Ryan has. Too many.
Had.
Oh,
Yeah.
You get rid of them.
What about you? I'll throw it back in your court.
Well, so definitely one of my favorites would be the Retro 7s.
Retro 7, yep.
We got those at the Louisville Regional. But in general, I think I have them in golf cleats, but the Jordan 11s.
Oh, boy.
For sure.
You need to send me a picture of those. That'd be sweet to see. 11 golf. I've never seen 11 golf shoes.
They're unbelievable.
Wow.
All white. You got the gum bottom.
Oh, gum bottom too. Oh my gosh.
I gotta have soft
That's
spikes.
sweet.
I can't do the morphed bottoms. Ryan's got some morph. I need the soft spike.
I might not be the best golfer in the world, but I've got
But
the
you
best.
look good. That's
you look good. Yes.
You feel confident. So obviously,
Absolutely.
this is a great recruiting tool. My last question would be, what do you guys look for in the next Oregon Duck player? Is it, are you looking for a specific trait? Obviously, you want him to work hard. What does a kid need to do to go to Oregon and play baseball?
Just a well-rounded kid. Even off the field, right? Good family, good work ethic. How does he hold himself off the field is really important to us because, again, the amount of kids that we're recruiting at this level, they're all talented. But really the ones that separate themselves are the ones that are really, really good kids. Again, we want to see these kids develop. That's our number one job, as a staff, right? To develop these kids into big leaguers. And you really, that's just kind of the way it is, right? And once you get into pro ball, if you don't have a good head on your shoulders, it's really difficult for you to even advance at the big league level, right? So obviously the talent side of it, but just are they really good kids? Do they come from a good family? And what's their character like? That's something that really, I'm sure it's a cliche being thrown out there, but we as a staff, we hold a lot of weight to that.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Character and the mental game, because when you get to the highest level of Division I baseball, everybody's good. Everybody's the best of the best. And that's just the way it is. But that mental game and that character and that perseverance is what sets you apart. Our buddy Ryan Noda, who is on the Athletics now, he's their first baseman. We were asking him what the most difficult part is. He's like, you know what, your body breaks down, but you can work on that. You can get stronger. You can overcome things and all that. But like the mental thing is the most exhausting thing because you need to be on all the time. You can't even take a second off because they will eat you alive. If you have that strong mental game, you can get through a lot of physical pain and get through a lot of struggles. But making sure that that's an important thing that you have in your players at the college level is so valuable.
Well, he said the game is mentally exhausting before it's physically exhausting. And I would say for you guys, you may not get to the physically exhausting part because you're not playing 162 games. You're playing significantly less. So, but that mental exhaustion is still going to hit. So how do you, being mentally tough, you got to get through that grind of playing that Pac-12, soon to be Big Ten schedule. Plus, getting to Omaha is so hard. You got to go through regionals, super duper regionals, and then maybe you get to Omaha, and then you got to win 3 games, right? It's not. Everyone makes it look like, oh yeah, you just go to Omaha. That's the final step. It's like no, there's 12 steps before that, and it's so incredibly challenging that having that mental capacity is a huge thing.
Well, I'm happy this came up. We actually have someone that trains our guys, and so. We do a lot of work. His name is Brian Kane. He is the best in the business. When I'm talking energy, effort, this guy is balls to the wall all the time. And he's a disciple, I guess, of Ken Ravizza. And so someone who was in the mental performance game for a long, long time. Brian kind of came up, through him and has really taken on that role. And funny enough, right before this call, I got a call from a former student athlete of ours. It was a really good friend of mine, played in the big leagues, Scott Heineman.
Okay.
He's spending the week with Brian right now.
Oh, wow.
And so I just got to give a quick shout out to my boy Scott Heineman. So, but Brian is awesome, and what he does for us and our guys, he comes out for 24, 48 hours and basically gives us a whole game plan of what what it takes. Basically, it takes what it takes, right? There's two ways of doing things: the right way and again. I mean, he has all these.
That's great.
All these isn't right, but again, we just embrace them because it really is so true. Again, just speaking to the amount of games that we play, and we do feel it physically right at times. And so, how can you get through that? It's through the mental performance. And so, we invest a lot of time and money and effort to have Brian and what he does for our staff, or for our players, and I guess our staff too, right? He's rubbed off on all of us, and really kind of just built into the culture here as well. So shout out to Scott, shout out to Brian. Thank you guys for everything you do for us.
Absolutely. Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, so many nuggets here, my friend. Incredible to get to hear about your journey and just this experience of being a Duck and being part of the baseball team. We're going to start winding it down a little bit, get to something a little bit more. This is always fun for us to talk about the game that we love and the game that you love. It's so cool for us, but kind of a little bit of a fun bit here that we've been doing. So we have been calling it fan favorites. So basically we're taking we take a position around the diamond. Eventually we'll make it all the way around. We're getting pretty close down to the end here, but we got some pretty fun positions ending it. So this week we are focusing on shortstop. So we kind of go through the three of us and pick a guy from the past that you really, really liked at the shortstop position and why, and then kind of present day guy that you really love watching and why as well. So I guess we'll start out with our guest, Sean. Is there a shortstop that you have in mind from the past that maybe you might have, I don't know what position you played growing up, but maybe you modeled your game after a shortstop or somebody like that, and why'd you look up to this person or model your game after them?
Great question. First, I was a utility guy, so I've played all over. Growing up, I always was a catcher. That was my primary. But in high school and college, I played a little of the infield. And then, of course, now as an ops guy, I play the outfield. But to go back to short, I got to go with my guy Tulo. I mean, he was, for sure for me, growing up, he was perennial all-star, perennial Gold Glove. I actually have something here for you guys.
Oh boy!
So he was like the first guy I remember with the single post.
Yes.
So I modeled my glove after Tulo, so that's
that is sweet. Our buddy Ryan, when he was in the minor leagues, he got drafted by Toronto, and I live in the western side of Michigan, so I live in Holland, and we're really close to the West Michigan Whitecaps, who at the time they were low A, and now with the restructuring of the minor leagues, they're high A. Ryan got drafted by the Jays, and the Jays' low A affiliate at the time was the Lansing Lugnuts, so in state. So I got to see him play quite a few times during that season. And that early spring game that I went to, their first game that they came to Grand Rapids, he gave me a Marucci bat that was actually a Tulo model. It was like the first game. He's like, I want you to have this. I'm like, great. But yeah, man, Tulo, the only thing is that we were just robbed of most of his prime with the injuries. Like, he was so dynamic, one of those bigger shortstops, had an absolute laser cannon of an arm and could just hit tanks. Like, such fond memories of Tulo, and I just wish we would have gotten more prime Tulo and not injured. It was a travesty.
Yeah. I mean, I still like literally, I modeled my glove and I even do the pancake thing. I mean, literally to a T, I modeled my
Yeah.
glove, my whole glove as Tulo did. Even to the three letters, like the three letter thing. I was just like, give me the Tulo glove, whatever that is.
Yes, I want it.
Yeah.
In Ducks. Brandon, what about you?
Um, there's so many names that could come up, but I always wore number 5 for a reason. When it was just 1 through 12, when we had other numbers, I would pick a different number. But that would be Nomar. Red Sox, I mean, just high average. But then I just remember being ecstatic when the Cubs traded for him, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, this is amazing!" And he didn't do anything, and it was very disappointing. I remember getting the Nomar jersey for the Cubs, and I was just like, "Oh yeah, this will be awesome." Again, disappointing, but it didn't mean I didn't like him as a shortstop. We didn't like the Yankees, so you can't say Derek Jeter, but I mean, we were looking at some early 2000s batting averages, and just the batting average that he had, I think it was like 260 something one year, just insane.
Or 360.
360, yeah, sorry.
360.
Now 260 would lead the league. Sorry,
A little bit.
Right?
a little different era. But that was definitely a guy fielding just top notch. And granted, they won. The Red Sox won without him, so maybe that showed a little more on him. But again, excited when he came to Chicago. Just not so excited when he actually played here.
There was like I honestly so there's that infamous like Sports Illustrated cover where it has all the young shortstops and they're all like shirtless, but it's like Nomar, Jeter, A-Rod, Renteria, Alex Gonzalez. But like Nomar to me, like you kind of look back at it like, all right, well, A-Rod had the most power and Jeter was the best fielder. Nomar was like the best all around at the time. Like he was an elite defender. He could spray the ball all over the place. Obviously, the high average, like Brandon mentioned, but he's just another guy. Like we were robbed of his most of his prime. I mean, he just got hurt and he just couldn't stay on the field, and it sucked because like you want to see those guys on the field performing, doing what they do. That's why we watch the game. But I mean, yeah, I mean, great pick as well. I mean, these are two great picks, fun baseball guys. I am going to, Brandon said that we are not Yankee fans, and we're not. But when I first started watching baseball, I was obsessed with Bernie Williams and Derek Jeter. I still have a Derek Jeter like folder from elementary school. Derek was just and he is my pick for the past. I mean, hard to argue with what the captain did. He was the epitome of longevity and consistency and like we were talking about with the Ducks earlier, swagger. Like he was a Jordan athlete. Like everyone wanted to be Derek Jeter, do the things that he did. Every kid, whether you were lefty or righty, you were doing that jump throw from shortstop, spraying the ball all over the place. I found myself watching some YouTube highlights and his last at bat at Yankee Stadium, walk off, single through the 3.5 hole, just shooting it through, going with the pitch. I mean, DJ, the captain, I mean, my hands down past favorite for
Did you
sure.
watch The Captain yet? The documentary they did?
Yes.
So good. I mean, again,
So incredible.
I don't like him as a Yankee. I like him as a baseball player.
Yeah.
But just the way he handled the media in New York, his longevity, just the way he hits in general, going opposite way like 90% of the time, I could appreciate that because I was just late, but I still would go to right field. This is a show of people who couldn't catch up to the fastball.
But I mean, even going back to what he is now, just successful in his post life, like happily married, has 3 girls at home, just a great ambassador for the game, and seems to be a great human being. I never met the man personally, but just seems like a great dude, and he was somebody to look up to for sure for me as a kid. How about present? There's a lot of dynamic shortstops in the game today.
You know what we've been finding, Sean, is that especially people that work in baseball don't watch baseball unless you're watching your own team perform. So this might be a little challenging, but
One kind of jumped off right from the get go. Trey Turner. I mean,
yeah.
he is just electric to watch. Obviously the World Baseball Classic last year. I mean, the guy's like Captain America now.
Yeah.
I mean, he's so smooth, and obviously everyone talks about the slide and the home. He's just so fun to watch, and he's just so clean and electric all at the same time. He's great. I like.
The reason why he slides like that, have you seen that? He said sliding hurts, and I don't want to touch the ground. And I'm like, man, I wish I would have learned that too.
Yeah.
It still
Sounds easy.
Sounds
great.
He's like, so I just try to get as close to the ground without touching it because I don't like when my leg hits the ground because it hurts. He's like, oh. Okay.
Yeah, so many torn up, bloody knees ago. I mean, it would have been nice to know.
Yes.
And then we thought it was cool to slide face first because we wanted to do it like the pros and get dirty. It's like, no, not fun. Get stepped on.
Hook slide or nothing. Ryan is infamous for sliding into first base head first.
Yes.
I don't think you teach your ducks that. I hope not.
No.
Never. It's not efficient. We've established that's the stupidest play in baseball is sliding head first into first base. Unless you have to. There's no have to.
If you're avoiding a tag, sometimes you have to.
Winning isn't always beautiful, right? You winning ugly.
Okay. No? Maybe if you're gonna get tagged, but if you're just doing it to like get to the base faster, no. Negative.
Most of the time I was not doing it to avoid the tag.
Exactly.
But sometimes I was.
Exactly.
That just happened.
Yes.
It just happened.
Yeah, it's hustle. Yeah. For me, and this year really opened my eyes to his game and just how good of a defender he is. Not so much offensive side, but just how smooth he is at shortstop. Dansby Swanson, 100%. Just being able to watch him for pretty much every game. You have a good shortstop in Nico Horner, and then you get this guy who's just so much better. Like, not so much, but like just how he I would just go to the Cub. I mean, I'm up here in Milwaukee, but we went regularly a couple times, and even when they come up here to Milwaukee, I just watch shortstop the whole time because he's just so fun to watch between pitches and, how's he responding to the ball, coming off the bat, and where's he going with the cutoffs, and everything about him in the field is impressive. And I didn't really see that with a lot of it. Like, Javi was cool, but he was more flashy. But Dansby Swanson is by far my favorite shortstop to watch right now.
Mm-hmm.
He was great. He was fun to watch, too, Vandy. I mean, that was cool. Like, being in college, watching him, stud. Guy's just a stud. Oh, yeah. Plays for the wrong side of the city, but he's a stud.
Yeah. Oh, you're a Sox fan?
I figured
that's all. You know what?
To the bottom of it.
It is okay. We sympathize. We sympathize for sure.
He's not yelling, so I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah.
Not yet.
He knows.
Different conversation.
I would say that my favorite shortstop to watch right now. I think he's already doing really well, but I think he's about to explode. I hope they put some more talent around him. It's Bobby Witt Jr. He is just an unbelievably electric athlete. It's very similar to Trey Turner. I think he might have a little bit more pop than Trey, but Trey's got a lot of pop as well. But yeah, I mean, just the way that he goes about his business, I think he's a very successful bat. I mean, high school prep star. I mean, when you're picked that high in a draft and get to the big leagues as soon as he did, at a skill position like shortstop, I mean, it's pretty impressive. In his rookie year, he did really well at third base too. I just think he's about to explode. I think he's getting mentored by one of the best minds in the game in Salvador Perez. Couldn't learn from a better professional than him. So I'm just hoping that in the next couple of years he gets a chance to play some meaningful games because I think he'll shine. Very much looking forward to how he will improve and mature and just continue to be one of the best that this game has. Fun young talent for sure.
Yeah,
great.
Hopefully he plays some meaningful baseball because that's tough when you're kind of trapped. And so we'll see it with Ohtani this year. Maybe the Dodgers will get to the playoffs. But when you have the best players in baseball on bad teams, that's not good for baseball. So
yeah, absolutely.
All right. Well, thanks again for giving us your time, Sean. This was great learning experience. You have a lot of wisdom, a lot of grit going on there at Oregon. But again, thank you for just giving us your time.
Thank you guys. I mean, this was a ton of fun. So, again, shout out Ryan, Mr. Vino, making this thing happen. I had a great time tonight.
He is our most avid listener, I would say.
He is great. Again,
just got another one. So,
awesome.
Yeah, great.
Awesome.
Yeah, well, great. He is a great dude, and we appreciate him, and we appreciate you, Sean. It has been wonderful meeting you. You are a friend now. Getting your time and just being generous to us and just sharing your journey, sharing this great Oregon baseball program. It just kind of cements what we all thought about, just how professional and how well the program is run and how the university is run as well. So very much appreciate your time and your knowledge and your grit. And anytime you want to come back on, I know you're going to get busy here, but if you have news to share, if you just want to talk baseball, if you want to talk about the Sox, having you on and having you in our corner is what we're all about, my friend. Whenever you want to come on, keep us updated as the season keeps rolling too. We're very excited to see what you and Coach and the Ducks have coming up. So yeah, we'll keep our eye out.
Again, I appreciate it, guys. We're just a couple short weeks, February 16th versus Oklahoma. So really, really excited. Again, thank you too. As we always end things here is go Ducks. Go Ducks.
Go Ducks. Go Ducks. Absolutely.
All right. And for us, boots come in pairs.
All right. Peace, y'all.